Welcome to the Crunch McDabbles Show. I'm your host, Crunch McDabbles. This is the only show where we break down all your Pathfinder Second Edition abilities and feats so that you are prepared to face the real dangers that exist in an imaginary world. Today's show, Sudden Charge. Sudden Charge is it might be my favorite feat. It says, with a quick sprint, you dash up to your foe and swing. Stride twice. If you end your movement within melee reach of at least one enemy, you can make a melee strike against that enemy. And then you can use Sudden Charge while you're burrowing, climbing, flying, or swimming instead of striding if you have the corresponding movement type. But who has those movement types, really? Okay, so let's break this down. First, you have to look at the traits. It has the Flourish trait. The Flourish trait means that you can only use this once per turn, no matter how many actions you have. But since this feat uses 2 actions anyways, that's not really a big deal because you would need 4 actions to use it twice anyways. So Flourish, that's fine. We don't really care about that. Second, it also has the Open trait. So you have to use this action first before you make an attack or another action with the Open trait. So you can attack and then use this feat. And then Sudden Charge. But you can move and then use Sudden Charge. So you'd be getting 3 movement actions, stride actions in a row, and then making an attack at the end of it. Really, I don't love these restrictions, but they aren't too bad, and so we can deal with them. Okay, the second thing to note here is that it uses 2 actions to use. But for those 2 actions, you get 2 movement actions and you can make an attack at the end if you end your movement actions adjacent to or within striking distance of a target. So what are you getting with this? You're getting 3 actions for the price of 2 actions. So if you are a savvy shopper in the action economy, then this feat is for you. That is, if you believe the action economy still means something in Pathfinder Second Edition, and I think it does. You probably think so too. Also with this feat, think about this too. When you think back to Pathfinder First Edition and the charge option in that system, it was similar. You could use 2 movement actions, but you had this restriction where you had to move in a straight line. So remember that? You're trying to see if you could charge and you could never use it, because there was always something in the way or one of your friends was in the way, or there was a lot of restrictions to it. So it was great for battles in big empty halls or in a desert or in a field, but it was pretty much unusable anywhere else. So we no longer have this restriction. So you can make a Sudden Charge around corners or through difficult terrains, or, run into a different room and run around a corner and run down a hall that, turns at the end. As long as you just make 2 stride actions and then make your attack at the end, that's pretty much it. So, if I haven't sold you on Sudden Charge yet, let's look at it in action. Let's say we have a 1st level elf and a 1st level dwarf, and way up in the distance is a dirty troll giving them the stink eye. Now, the troll is 80 feet away. On the dwarf's turn, he spends 3 stride actions and moves up 60 feet. At the end, he hasn't even reached the troll, and he spent his whole turn moving up. The elf, on the other hand, who happens to be a nimble elf, because what else would you choose at 1st level? So this elf, she makes a Sudden Charge. So she strides twice, and she reaches the troll, she makes her attack, and then she's able to move back her full movement and is now 10 feet behind the dwarf, who hasn't even reached the troll yet. So look at all that movement and think about all the strategic possibilities that you can do with this feat. But the point is this, and here we are, we're 5 minutes in and we're finally getting around to the point. This is the mobility lover's feat. If you love moving around on the battlefield, this is a great feat for you. But it's not just about being able to move long distances and then attack. This feat opens up a whole new defensive style based on that added mobility. Let's look at it. Let's say we have a combat with 2 groups of goblins and they're flanking from 2 sides, but they're being fended off by some tanky party members. The elf can Sudden Charge way over to one side of the flank and make an attack, and then back off all in one turn. The goblin then has a decision to make at this point. Do I keep attacking the tanky dwarf, in which case the elf avoided taking attacks? So that is some good defense. The elf made attacks without being attacked. Or the goblin could use some of its move actions to chase the elf. If the goblin chases the elf, sure, they'll get an attack or two in, but on the elf's next turn, she sudden charges again way over to the other side of the battlefield, and the goblin's out there in space wondering what to do next. So this could be a disruptive battle strategy, and it's really an interesting defensive style. And that's why I love Sudden Charge. It adds a free action, it adds mobility, which makes for some really interesting strategy decisions. It's a first level feat, so you could easily multi-class into fighter or barbarian and get this feat at 4th level. And you might even be able to develop an entirely different defensive style out of the added mobility. So there you have it, Sudden Charge. So sudden the monsters won't even know what hit them. And that's it for the Crunch McDabble Show. I've been your host, Crunch McDabbles. Now go and win the day with some strategy and some lucky dice rolls.